Hi everyone, welcome to all. Welcome to Only One United here. Amazing win at. Oh God,
Stop stealing my job, please. You already have a job, please. This is my
I
job.
think I was doing much better.
Acha. Okay, guys, let's start.
That's a better cross. And Risso's there for the second.
So I'll start. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Only One United. Today, I won't be doing the match reaction alone, and we have Namrata with us to talk about the 4-0 win. 4-0 win, yeah, correct. Like I thought, okay, to doing the match reaction, Namrata told me that she wanted to come on for the reaction, and I was like, I don't want this to become a loss. I want us to win because if it's a loss, it'll be an hour-long match reaction. So, yeah, so we have won 4-0 at the Theatre of Dreams. First half was quite bad, but second half was equally better. I won't say it was very good, but it was better, and the substitutions made a lot of difference. Just that one substitution of Lucia Garcia changed the game for us. So I think Katie Selam scored the penalty first of all, and then Lucia Garcia scored, then Haley Ladd scored, then Garcia scored another. So we saw a good performance from Lucia Garcia especially, and she has cemented the discussion about how she deserves more minutes. Even the athletic journalists are like, okay, why isn't she getting more minutes? So
Stop it.
finally people are seeing the light. Why some of us have been rallying for some of the squad players who haven't been getting more minutes to start more or to get more minutes. So, Namrata, please start off with how you felt in the first half, and then we'll gradually move on to the emphatic 4-0 second half.
I think like the first half was something that should be erased from everyone's memories forever because it was. I think we started off pretty well for the first 10, 15 minutes. I think there were like a lot of. I think we had two chances which we should have put to bed, but I think after that it was like really dismal. Uh, and I honestly like thought, if we were going at the same pace, we would not be able to score another goal. And was honestly like glad that we got the penalty because I think from the open play we were not really going in that direction. Uh, I think there was that one phase of
Sorry
play.
to cut you. Sorry to cut, but you also put out a tweet saying that we couldn't have scored from open play in those minutes, so it was nice to get that penalty. And
Yeah, I think
I think other than that as well, there were a few controversial decisions from the referee. Like
yeah.
obviously, as a United fan, you are a little biased when your player gets fouled, but maybe another penalty in the first half could have been better.
I think I felt like it was a penalty for Lad when she was. I mean, she was clearly pushed. So I mean, from women's football standards, it's a soft penalty, but I still think it's a penalty. But again, that being said, I was kind of disappointed that we are again in the similar position as Chelsea, where we knew that we deserved the penalties, and then we couldn't really do much after that. So the first half was again more or less the same. There was a passage of play in the first half where we had a lot of difficulty playing out from the back. So I mean, I mean, again, I was like, just hoof it up, like please stop. And I think the second half it improved quite a lot, but first half, I think all the problems that we've always had, uh, you know, especially in the last 3, 4 games, they all manifested. Like every single thing that we had been doing wrong, it was there. And I really think like I thought another half like that and it might just be our first defeat at Old Trafford, and we can like say bye bye to top three hopes. But like really glad we did well in the second half.
Yeah. So coming back to what you mentioned about the issues being there, I think playing from the back, like from the centre backs perspective, I feel that Maya Leticia's long ball ability is quite better than Millie Turner's, and Millie Turner's ball progression, like ball carrying basically is better than Maya, because Maya likes to sit back. Like I
Yeah,
think it's a similar, like sort of a similar impactful dynamic that Varane and Lisandro have for the men's team. I'm
yeah,
not saying it's like for like, but you can see like the similarities between that partnership and this partnership. But I feel Maya in the first half was quite good, even in the second half, in terms of putting that long ball into the others half in the attacking half. But that's the issue with our team right now, that we don't have that first phase player, which is basically what Ericsson does when he's fit for United, or what Eric Ten Hag wants in Frankie De Jong. So we need that somebody who will link the defense and carry the ball forward, because you can't expect Haley Ladd to do it. Katie Zelim cannot do it because 1v1 she struggles a lot. So I feel that is an issue which is quite visible on the pitch. But I'll totally agree that in the second half we improved a lot. We saw Haley Ladd drop a little deeper into the midfield.
yeah.
Even in the first half, she did fall deeper, but mostly I feel that this season she's been further higher up the pitch than she usually was last season,
Yeah.
which has its pros and cons, but it's the system which he's implementing, so I'll not question much. Uh, but yeah, I think Lucia Garcia's case is quite, I'll just draw a comparison. Obviously, again from the main team, that whenever either one of Anthony or Sancho don't start, like whosoever doesn't start the match, and for example, Anthony starts, so he won't play well, and Sancho will come on and he'll do well. So if Sancho starts, then Anthony will come on and do well. So I feel with Lucia Garcia, like I remember a few games, like I think it was against Leicester that she started,
Yeah, yeah. I
but
think Leicester. Yeah,
like there was
probably.
this one particular game where she started and didn't score, and everybody was like they were so quick to judge her and were like, oh my god, you all say that Lucia Garcia should start, but now that she started she isn't scoring. But it's just one particular game. You are not understanding the level of impact that she brings on the pitch, and that's quite visible with respect to how she partners with Ona on the right. And today, like we saw her on the left as well initially, Lucia.
Yeah.
So, I feel Lucia Garcia's case is a very unique one, because uh, doesn't matter how good she performs, people will pinpoint that one particular mistake, which reminds me of Vilde Borisa's career at United right now. But yeah,
I think with Lucia, she started off really well. Like she started the season, and it looked like we finally got the right winger that complements Ona, who drops deep and who's creating chances and stuff. She got injured, and then obviously she kind of lost her place in the starting 11, and obviously a lot of players, they need a run of games to play well when you put them on, right? And initially, she hadn't been getting a lot of games, so she did miss a lot of chances. I don't know if it was the Leicester game or if it was the Reading game. I don't really remember which game it was. Uh, but I think recently, whenever she has come on, she's really changed the game for us. So, even though she was playing on the left wing, but I think the way she holds up the ball, and one of the things which I feel is most of our forwards have this issue, is that when they're pressed or when they have two or three players on them, they kind of stumble or they lose possession. But Lucia, she's strong and she holds the ball up really well, and she occupies the right spaces. So if you're moving the ball faster, then you can get her in a really good position and she can score a goal. So, I actually personally think that she should be starting. I think Nikita Paris hasn't been on a good run of form. And I think even previously, like, I felt like there was a situation where uh, she wasn't playing well, but she was getting goals. So it seemed like
that
that seemed
FA Cup
like,
game where she scored a
yeah,
brace,
yeah.
yeah.
So, and also against Liverpool, I think she scored a goal, if I'm not wrong. So, she wasn't playing that well, but she was getting goals. And then on the other hand, you had Lucia, who was probably playing well but not scoring goals, even though she had chances. And I think maybe that's the reason why, uh, for that particular phase, Nikita Paris was preferred over Lucia Garcia. But I think now, if you look at the last 2, 3 games, I definitely think Lucia deserves to start. You might just uh, talk about, whether I think a lot of fans might say, whatever Skinner's doing, that's working out, and maybe Lucia is actually better as a sub. But I do think, against teams like West Ham, where you can play really badly for the first half and you will still have the space and opportunity to come back in the second half, we might not have against some of the teams. For example, we still have to play Villa, we have to play Arsenal, we have to play City. So I think we really need to work on who's the right wing, because I think that is the only position where we've seen some changes. So, if we want to go with a settled starting 11, we need to nail that right wing spot for all, for once and for all.
Yeah, I totally agree with people thinking that Lucia Garcia is the best, is best off the bench, which isn't always right because, like you mentioned, against a team like West Ham, where we struggled a lot, but still won 4-0 in the second half. Maybe, for example, if she started, the game could have been different because we saw on the pitch today the level of impact that she made, like instant impact. She came on off the bench and she scored a brace. Like I don't see that much in United these days, like women's team based. Uh, but then again, the same question. Uh, it circles back to the same question every time. What does Vilde Borisa have to do to warrant a start in this team in WSL?
Oh, I think I have kind of accepted that she's not going to get chances in the league. Like it might sound very disappointing and very sad, but I think like internally when I think before Aoife Mannion came on, I think I could, like, when I heard the whistle for the substitution or when the board came up, I kind of knew that it could be any other player. It's definitely not going to be Wilder, right?
It's the
I think
same for me with Leon. Like we
I
haven't
think
seen Leon at all.
I think people have forgotten Leon. Like I ordered a burger from a place which is called Leon's because I thought I'll manifest her getting some minutes, but like nothing seems to work, and I think it's a lost cause. And I mean, I'm not saying we should give that up, but I think at least as of now, I feel like again, I don't know, because uh, I think the midfield is a big issue. I don't think we need to play in games like this with two defensive midfielders. So there is an opportunity for us to play Wildebariza, somebody who's more creative, and try to give her minutes. At least try to think of other. I always feel when we're in such a situation where we're, let's say, 2 goals up or 3 goals up, there's always an opportunity to prepare for next set of games. So you try something different. You try to have an answer for, let's say, if you have the same situation as the first half against somebody like Arsenal, who are on pretty good form right now, uh, then you can change something. But I think we are not really trying that. And if you, and I think maybe from Mark's perspective, he's thinking of Wilde as the starting midfielder in FA Cup, while in the league he'll kind of go with the same midfield that he knows. Uh, I'm really hoping that if that is the case, and if we manage to get up to the final, it's fine if, okay, he's not starting her in the league, but if we make it to the final, he has to play her in the final. He doesn't need to go back that, oh, if it's a final against Chelsea, I'm going to go back to my league settings. That's not done. Like, I still think, like, even if it's a league, if it's in games where against tougher opposition, I definitely think Wilder actually can come on and play a role. But mentally, I have realized that is not going to happen, and there's no point crying over spilt milk. I think that's the that's
So,
the
so,
metaphor.
so you have accepted that you know
Yes.
she won't, like
Yeah.
it's not even about the start, like you mentioned start. I'm just thinking of how, like, for example, today Lucia made an impact. Maybe when you sub in Vilde Borisa much sooner, like you usually sub her in around the 75th minute or the 80th minute, and sometimes even the 85th minute. So I don't know, like sometimes it feels like those are pity minutes. Like if you sub on a player after 85th minute, it's like, chalo chalo koi baat nahi, chao chao. It's like that. So
Um,
I
I
don't
think
understand honestly.
I'll just say one thing. So last time we played at Old Trafford, I think he did sub on Wilder, and everyone was like, Wilder has to play at Old Trafford. It's her childhood club, and she's a
Yeah,
huge fan. I think he gave her like some pity minutes, but I mean, I don't think like, I mean, if you talk about Leon, for example, I can still agree in the sense that even though she hasn't really been given any chances,
she
but
hasn't played like in ages, I think.
yeah, exactly. She hasn't really been given that many chances, but so and when she has, she hasn't scored a lot of goals or whatever. But when you talk about Wilder, whenever she's been given minutes, she's played really well. She scored goals. So I again do not really understand what's going on, and I think it's like this time Skinner's like, I'm not even going to give her pity minutes, like kind of
Uh,
down from there.
Yeah, you mentioned something about preparing for the next game. For example, if United are winning, for example, 3-0 at halftime, which is quite rare. But for example, we are winning 2-0, or let's say 1-0 even. We come in the second half, we make it like one more goal, then we prepare for the next game. But like this is the ideology. What basic ideology needs to be from our perspective, you are our perspective, please guys. But like
What is our perspective?
our perspective. We are not trying to say that he needs to do that. It's just that we feel
Uh,
he should do that. I feel we are getting quite predictable in terms of starting 11 and the formation, the tactics on paper in the first half, and that's why I think we've seen how we've struggled in the first half. Like post Liverpool, I'd say like it's become too predictable. Like for example, not even post Liverpool, but after that Sunderland game, I feel we've become too predictable, and teams know how to like form against her. Like for example, towards the initial minutes, West Ham were pressing, and after that they maintained their shape. They weren't pressing that much, but there were instances where United were like, okay, West Ham won't press, and then West Ham started pressing. So it's that ideology right now that teams know what to do against United, and that is one of the main reasons why I think we often struggled in the first half. Like in the first half of the season, it was United used to come at halftime, after halftime, and we used to concede within seconds, within minutes. But now the issue is how we haven't been able to properly control the game. Now people will relate the word control to possession. Guys, if you keep passing on in your own half, so obviously you'll get more possession. Like I'll honestly tell you, today the stats were like we made 657 passes in total, and out of that 555, like for example 550 passes were accurate. So out of that 370 passes were in our own half only. So like out of 550, if 370 passes are in your own half, then like you aren't making those progressive passes. Of course, like obviously you can't make 500 out of 550 progressive passes, but people will relate to control with the number of passes we've made, with the possession we've had. But I think control is a whole lot of different definition for people. For me, it's basically how even if the opposition is pressing, they're like, guys, we are pressing but nothing's going to happen. Like United against Chelsea. But like I'm a little confused right now because we are becoming too predictable. I think even he knows we are becoming too predictable. But if he makes too many changes and it backfires, then we'll be here criticizing him again. So maybe he's sticking to the same plan and thinking, okay, I know what substitutions I have to make, and in the second half we'll get it.
I think, to be honest, if we continue to play like we did in the second half, uh, then I wouldn't really be calling out for that many. I wouldn't really be calling him out for that many bad substitutions because I think he got the substitution spot on. Uh, I think I'm also kind of glad he gave Aoife Mannion some minutes, because there was a point where again she had two or three players around her, and instead of passing back to Mary Earps, she found a way to get out of the press and pass the ball forward. And I think Millie has not really has kind of struggled there, right? Like we've all seen that, even though she's kind of good with the ball, but she gets under pressure. Like if you put pressure on her, she'll always pass it back to Mary, and
Like
we
there
saw
are a
that in
lot
the
of
first
players in
half.
our team right now who
Yeah,
face issues like who are not quite press resistant. I think, but
yeah,
that's what you're saying.
yeah. But I think like Mannion, again, we only saw a few minutes from her, but I think Mannion is a bit slower than the rest of our centre backs, but she's kind of press resistant, and it helps really, especially uh, when we're trying to progress the ball. And I think that really helped us in the second half, in the last 10-15 minutes, whenever she was there, because whenever she got the pass, she was looking for whenever she got the ball, she was looking for a forward pass. And talking about Millie Turner, right? You also mentioned that earlier in the podcast that. Millie May is the one who's kind of playing the long passes, while Millie usually is the one who's more stable, the centre back. I think I think Millie's style of play is actually suited more to Casey Stoney's style of play, because when she was playing under Casey, her role was actually to kind of go into the midfield and then progress the ball. So and today also we saw, I think there was one time when she kind of carried the ball towards the box basically, and then she played a pass to the fullback. So that is what her strength is. But if we are asking her to like not progress the ball, not carry the ball into the midfield, and just kind of stay there and pass it out from the back, that is not really her strength. So I think if that is the way we want to play, then I think definitely Mannion would be a better choice for me.
I think, like you all mentioned, a very good thing that Millie Turner would like to go into the midfield, and I think in
She
this
was a
scenario,
midfielder. She was a
yeah,
midfielder before.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh, like in this scenario where I don't see any player who can do the link up role right now. Like I'll be honest, I'll be very honest, I'll be shameless right now. We like the main issue we faced this season is because we let Jackie go and we were not ambitious enough to make her stay. Of course, Namrata will be like, please don't start about Jackie right now. But yeah, she was that link up player. I think, not just link up, she was the whole system. That's why the system is there. But we haven't been able to replicate, like we haven't been able to help any of the other midfielders replicate that performance, and that is one of the main issues. I feel that you see Zelim, you see Lad, they won't be able to do the link up role between the defense and the attack. They won't be coming into the back three role. Like for example, today we saw that Blundell was a lot deeper. Like
Yeah.
usually she's higher up the pitch, but today she was a lot deeper because you know if she's also higher up the pitch, then Millie and Maya are the only ones. And I feel against Chelsea, we saw how between those like how Lauren James and Neve Charles played through those gaps and helped Sam Kerr with those through balls. And I feel that is one of the main things that made Mark realize that no, I cannot have only two players at the back. And that is one of the main reasons why I keep on saying first phase, Ericsson type player, Frankie De Jong type player, because when you have that kind of a player, your fullbacks can be higher up the pitch. That midfielder can slot into the back three role. He can help. She, they can help with the ball progression as well. Whenever we have a stable back four, so I feel this is one of those midfield roles where that is my definition of a first phase player. Obviously, uh, the professionals have their own definition and they might be better judges. But I feel we need that kind of a player because right now as well, like you have mentioned, why do we pass backwards? Why do we pass sideways? Because there's nobody else. Like there's nobody else occupying that space in front of the defenders. Either both of those midfielders are too wide or too higher up the pitch, and that's one of the reasons why you see that big hole, and most of those opposition players are in that spot. And the defenders are getting so much press that they have to pass back to Mary. And I feel if you saw that FA Cup game against Lewis, like the goal that we conceded, that is like
Yeah,
that was one of the circumstances where this exact thing happened.
yeah. I think also in the first half, one of the problems why we were not able to kind of play out from the back so easily was that uh, so Maya and Millie were at centre back, and Hannah, as you said, she was deep. She was playing quite deep. Ona was halfway up the pitch, so there was absolutely like nothing on that side. So it for that to happen, then somebody from our defensive midfield actually has to kind of be on that side to receive the ball, to stretch the field of play and everything. But uh, you know, I couldn't really see anybody from anybody there. Like Zellum was just in front of the centre backs. Lad was was further up the pitch, and I think Zellum is actually pretty good when she's facing the attack, in the sense like when we are attacking, when she's facing towards our opponent's goal, she's actually pretty good because then she can play the passes, the progressive passes. She can switch the direction of play. But when she's facing our defenders, I think that is her biggest weakness, because not only is she not press resistant, but I also think like she's not mobile enough to occupy spaces where she will give options to our center backs. uh, and
And in 1v1 scenarios, she often tends to lose the ball as well.
exactly. And in the first half, I think Lad was really high up. In the second half, we saw that Lad had also dropped a little deep. So that gave the defense a lot more options to kind of play out from the back, and that's why we were able to progress the ball a lot faster. Uh, so, I mean, you were talking about Jackie, right? I think Jackie, obviously, she's an amazing player. Uh, I actually think if she had stayed, we might actually have had a worse off season. And I'll tell you the reason for that is because uh, Zellum always has to play, right? Like, no matter what, Zellum always will play in the midfield. Tooney will always play in the midfield. So it gives you uh, the one remaining option. So if Jackie plays there, then she will be having to do a bulk of the defensive work. She will not be able to link up the play. She'll not be able to set the tempo of the game. She'll not be able to play the through balls that she usually does. And I think it's very, very important for us that Lad always has to play. And because we actually only have one position in midfield, so by not having Jackie here, even we lose out on a lot of her good qualities, but it also actually means that Lad gets to play. So my
I
my
love the way you bluntly said that we would have been in
it's
a worse situation.
it's exactly because you have to play Lad and then you have to get a really good number eight. So ideally it should have been Lad, Jackie and Tooney, but we know that is not going to happen because two midfield places are locked. So you only have so who do you go with, Jackie, or do you go with Haley Ladd? And we would have struggled really badly if without Haley Ladd, and that's what happened last season as
Last
well.
season, yeah, last season as well,
Exactly,
this happened. Yeah,
last season as well, this is the exact thing that happened, that when Jackie was playing, it was with Zellum at the base of the midfield. It wasn't good. We
then
struggled
Jackie
a lot.
got yeah, then Jackie got injured. Then we shifted to a midfield five. You remember those
Yeah,
Villa
yeah, that
and
was
games? Yeah.
so. So I think like in terms of having actually Lad there, it's probably a good thing that Jackie wasn't around to kind of confuse Mark on which midfielder to play. But I also think I don't think Lad is a number eight. She has done better than before, but I think she's a really good number six. And uh, why don't you play her as a number six? You know that if you have her towards the base of the midfield, uh, it'll help you out. It'll help us play better from the back. And
I think
you know,
I have an answer about this. I
mm,
think uh, with terms of attacking outlet, like the ability of an attacking outlet, Mark feels that with Zelem, it's quite limited. Of course, she scores goals, she can provide assists, but it's quite limited. And her main source of providing assists or scoring goals is from set pieces. So while you are in an open play position, like today we were not able to score from open play. But then you saw how Haley Ladd scored that wonderful goal. I feel that was a perfect team goal. They were like a अच्छे goal थे आज, but Haley Ladd's goal was amazing. I think that was the goal where I was like, oh my god, how have we
Yeah,
just done that?
it was like
But
Casemiro, like
yeah, exactly.
Karthik.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Karthik also mentions in the comments that Casemiro is with Lad, exactly. And I feel, that's what I was coming to, that Haley Ladd's attacking outlet to this team is much important, that is more important than Zelem's outlet right now. Like, I'm not trying to slate her, please. Please, please,
I
please do
I
not
don't.
slate
Yeah,
her. But yeah,
I
like,
think it's constructive criticism, like
yeah,
Mark
like,
gives in his post-match interviews.
but like Lad's attacking outlet from open play is much better than Zelem's. So she's much higher up the pitch lately. And that's like Mark knows that's the issue, and that's why he's playing Haley Lad higher up the pitch. But then that creates an issue, like when the other team counters, then Zelem alone has to take care of that pivot role. So there are ups and downs every time. Uh, like right now, I often feel like, yeah, I am a proper hater because I try to pinpoint mistakes. But I'm not a hater. I just want us to take care of those mistakes, rectify those mistakes, because if we
No,
want to
I
play
think
in the UWCL, like we won't be able to sustain like this in UWCL, not at all.
no, I don't think you're a hater because it's not something that I think apart from two or three people in this whole wide world, I think everyone knows that uh, like every player will have weaknesses, right? I think even Russo, I wrote that today on Twitter. Like I think she's very clumsy sometimes, and so it's not like every player is going to be perfect. And it's the same thing with Zellum. She has a certain set of strengths and weaknesses. So if and everyone knows that, right? So I think what Mark is doing is to kind of trying to fit other players around her to let go of to not expose those weaknesses. But against certain teams, the quality that they have, this will get exposed. And you will have some games where it will just not work, and it's completely fine to try to have a solution there. And I think my biggest point of contention here is we don't have the solution here. Like today as well, Lucia Garcia, she came up, she scored 2 goals, uh, and that changed the game. But there will be times when you will not be able to bring up, you will probably sub in Lucia Garcia, or you'll start Lucia and she will not have a good performance. And you can't always sub in attacking players hoping that they will score some goals or they'll produce some moments of brilliance. That's not always going to happen. And sometimes you need to figure out to change the system. And for me, changing the system is the easiest to do with the change in midfield. And that's something we just don't do. With regards to Zellum being good at set pieces, I think she's very good at penalties. I think she's probably just missed one penalty
Yeah,
while she's been at United.
10 out of
Uh,
11.
yeah, 10 out of 11. So she has a very good penalty record, right? For set pieces as well, I think she's very good at corners. She's very good at the set pieces where the angle is kind of more towards the angle is narrow. But I think for direct free kicks, she hasn't really been that good for a while. And it might be a good time to look for other options. So we saw like, Wildeberry, she created an amazing free kick. So again, you need to find those players, you need to play to their strengths. And I was very happy with the second half of the season, and I think if we continue to play like that against every single team for the rest of the games, I'll be fine with that, even if we don't change things. But if we continue to play like the first half of the season, we are not getting into top 3, we're not winning that FA Cup that we're all dreaming about.
It's a little dicey right now. I don't know. Like, I honestly think that too many changes would be bad, but at the same time, there are 1 2 positions where you need to make a change to ensure that we bring more stability and we don't, get bullied by the opposition in the like we were in the first half. Uh, but as always, like, it's their decision. They are much better judges than us. But as of now, I'd say that Lucia Garcia and Vilde Borisa both have done enough to show that they warrant a start. Like start them in the next game. Just evaluate how they are playing. Of course, right now with UWCL on the line, with FA Cup on the line, it's always hard to it's easy for us to say, okay, make changes. Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? But tomorrow, if something bad happens and something backfires, obviously he won't say that you Namrata and Atanu said to start, so I started. But uh, obviously we'll be running after his head and saying why did you make so many changes. So I understand sometimes from his perspective, but as fans we want our team to be perfect, so it is what it is. But let's talk about Ona Batlle. Like, please, let's just talk about Ona Batlle, and then we'll talk about Lacey. But give Ona Batlle 10 million right now. Please sign that contract. I don't know how we'll be able to sustain without Ona right after, if she is to leave in the summer. I don't know how we'll replace her. Obviously, we will sign somebody, but I don't think anybody would ever have an impact like Ona is having, because every game she's getting an assist, every game she's running from one end to the other on the right wing. And today as well, you mentioned that Ona is higher up the pitch, but when that other team is counter attacking, Ona is the first one to start her engines and is like, okay, I'll have to run back. So let's talk about Ona Namrata.
I feel a lot of pain whenever I talk about Ona. Like, I honestly, like, I could cry. Like, so I think the thing with Ona is that uh, she's the kind of player who uh, she's so consistently good that sometimes you kind of even forget that she's a part of the team, like in a good way, right? Like, uh, she's not
Like
doing
she
anything
has
bad.
like she keeps on increasing the benchmark day in day out.
Exactly. Like, she'll put up an 8/10 every single time. It won't go below 8. And sometimes she'll put a 10/10 or 9/10, and then you go, wow, she's brilliant. But the thing is, she's brilliant every single game. And I always feel like there are some players who are consistently that good in every single game. And again, and when they become so good, you kind of start taking them for granted, right? Like, they will always be there. Oh, you're right, Ona is always good, what's there to see? Like, I saw, like, recently there was a lot of praise, and myself, we voted for Hannah Blundell for player of the month last month. And it's not to say that she was better than Ona last month, but I think, like, Ona put on 8/10 every match, and that was expected of her. And Glendon kind of upped her game. So I think she's she's again, as I say, I'm kind of trying to think about a player from the men's side who I can I can say is as good as Ona, and I can't think of any one player. Maybe Carrick would be one from his time from way back, but like I think if
Like
somebody can comment in
consistency,
the
yeah.
comments, yeah,
Like
I
I
don't
don't
think,
think anybody could
yeah,
ever match her consistency.
yeah. I think even like right now, I feel like in the men's team, Lisandro Martinez is very consistent, but even he has some bad games, and he has those errors which will lead to the goal. But I honestly can't think of any player in the last decade, for example, for Manchester United, where you have one player who has had such an impact on the game. And what we talked about, right? That the reason Ona is so far up the pitch is not just because she can sprint back and defend, but also because she is our primary source of goal creation. Like, we don't create from the center. Uh, the Wherever we are struggling, the answer is you somehow get the ball to Ona. She will cross the ball. She'll create those chances. So she's a chance creator. She's amazing at defending, and she brings that steal to the team. She's, even though I think she's probably amongst one of our shorter players, but she's actually one of the most defensive, one of the most physically resilient players. Like, you're not going to get ahead of Ona, right? And I think if you really had 11 Ona parties on the pitch, you could win the Champions League, the WSL, everything.
I think you're absolutely right that Ona is not just ahead up higher up the pitch because she can sprint back, because she's the main goal creator, and that's quite visible in terms of stats as well. Today as well, I think she got 2 assists or 1 assist. 1 assist she got. I don't
Yeah,
know
yeah.
about the second one,
The
but
lad one.
yeah, but like look at the link up as well with Lucia. I remember her link up with Kirsty Hansen on some instances. Obviously, that partnership wasn't that well because, like Namrata is right now, okay, Kirsty Hansen has been mentioned in the conversation. So, but
Well,
yeah,
you've got Jackie in the conversation now. You've got Hansen as well. Let's bring Lauren. Lauren James is also mentioned right now.
yeah.
We're like blast from the past.
Recently, like I don't want to mention, but some people thought that it would be really good to compare a certain US player and a certain current United player. I won't name, but yeah. Uh, let's talk about Lacey now, Alessia Russo. I think this season, obviously, she's had an impact. I'm not going to deny that she scored a hat trick as well recently, but consistent basis, like obviously, you can't expect her to score every time, you can't expect her to be at her A game every time, but I do agree that she tends to fumble. And I honestly see Alessia Russo as more of a second striker, like basically not a camp, but basically
Wayne Rooney.
uh, no, Wayne Rooney is like you can't replicate Wayne Rooney, but like I don't know if you've seen Benzema for Real Madrid recently, but
Yeah,
he's
I
a
have
lot
seen it.
deeper.
Yeah.
So he's like a false nine. I'm not saying that Russo is a false nine, but yeah, she tends to drop deep into the midfield to help with the build up, and that's particularly maybe because there is that loss of a link up player between defense and attack. But obviously, we tend to see Russo a lot deeper than a number nine would be. Like for example, if you compare the heat map of Russo and Sam Kerr, Sam Kerr is often like around the box and inside the box. Like I'm not trying to slate Russo, but I'm just saying that she's a lot deeper, and uh, Paris uh, Paris takes up the position of Russo often, and that's why you don't have anybody on the right hand side who can help Ona with the link up play. So she has to run with the dribble with the ball alone. Uh, so yeah, I think that's my assessment of Russo. And like Russo also, please give her the contract. We cannot, if for example tomorrow we get UWCL, we need to have a player alongside Russo. I'm not saying as a backup to Russo or as a superior to Russo, but on the same level to Russo, so that they can play well off each other. They can have a good competition. But if Russo also leaves, then like spend big, guys. We will need another 100 billion for the women's team itself for the transfer budget.
I think with Russo, we kind of it's a third season at United, right? And so before that she was in college, so she wasn't really playing professional football. Her first season in WSL, she was basically injured for most of the season. So it's effectively just 2 seasons, and I think
But
uh,
even in that first season, she did so well. Like in those 3 4 games,
yeah.
I think she scored a brace as well.
So I think she's had. I mean, obviously, like Alessia Russo is a very good player, and I think she has a huge potential in front of her. Uh, that's why I'm a little bit surprised that she actually would want to move out of United and play for a bigger European club, because I think there is still a huge level of development that's needed from her to kind of maybe reach the likes of Sam Kerr or Ada Hegerberg or you know uh, like any top player in Europe right now. She needs that kind of development. And will she get that at a top team? I'm not really sure. But at least like here, she's getting minutes. And I think the problem with Russo recently, it just seems like, and I think there was a pretty good comment here that the way Russo and Garcia play together is more important than Ona Garcia link up, because yeah, exactly. Because she played like the hold up play is much better when Garcia is around, because Garcia makes those runs and she's able to fend off players and kind of create spaces. I think like Russo's problem kind of seems to be similar to Miedema's problem in Arsenal 2 years ago, where she often, when their midfield was not really functioning well, not creating chances, then Miedema usually used to drop deep to kind of create chances for herself. At that time, I don't think I think Mead was playing, but she wasn't in the best form of her life back then. So it didn't do well for Arsenal. But I think Russo seems to be in a similar situation at United, where I honestly think one of those days she'll actually go towards Mary Earps to kind of get the ball, because the ball's kind of just been pinged around there. Uh, and I think, she can hold up the ball well. I think in the recent matches, I feel like her balance has not really been great, uh, and because she's actually holding up the ball really well in the first half of this season. She seemed a lot more steady. I think recently in the last few matches, she's uh, I don't know, she doesn't look. It's kind of like she kind of gets bullied very easily. She's not holding up the ball. She fumbles a lot. She seems to be a bit clumsy. So. Uh, I think again this, and as you said, when Nikita Paris is also kind of playing around that position, it's she doesn't really have an outlet. So, but I think again, but in the box, I don't think there's a better player right now that we have. So maybe we should just play to her strengths right now, and have the players around her, because she always scores her goals in bursts, right? She'll probably have a few games where she won't score that many goals, but then she'll score pretty well. She
She'll
also has
make
a
up
very
for
good.
it. Yeah, she'll make up for it in that one, in those 1-2 games, and we'll be like, "Can start
Exactly.
padding today."
Yeah, and she has an amazing link up with Tooney, and it's no surprise that her uh, drop in form has coincided with Tooney's drop in form. And I think in the second half, I thought Tooney played really well. And if she can carry this form and kind of improve that in the next coming matches, we'll also see Alessia score a lot more goals.
Like today, Tony had 2 or 3 attempts on the target, and I was remembering that Leicester game where Tony was like, she was so frustrated that I'm not scoring a goal, and I was like, please don't get a card, please don't get a card. So
Yeah.
similarly today as well, she deserved the goal, I feel, and I actually, I'm amazed with the point that you made about Russo's drop in form coinciding with Tony's drop in form. That's a very good point, and also the scoring in bursts point that she'll make up for those missing games in those 3-4 games. So that's a good point as well. Uh, I'll ask you something right now, and then we can continue the discussion if you like. Uh, like you can only have one thing. I'll choose right now. I'm not going. Remember that one thing in the last podcast that we did for another channel. I asked you.
I don't remember.
Okay,
Just
I'll
ask
ask
me.
you once again. FA Cup, uh, glory, or second position in WSA.
I think second position for sure. Like, I think maybe last year I would have said FA Cup, but this year no. Like, it's fourth year running, and like if you had said even third, I would have taken third, because I just feel like this
Yeah,
is
like
a
it's basically top three. Yeah, top three
yeah.
or FA. Yeah.
I would have taken top three anyway, because I think I understand we haven't won a trophy in ages, but I think our team has a huge mental block when it comes to. It seems like this top three is something like every manager. Well, we've just had two, but like for Casey as well and Mark Skinner, it's like top three, and the fans also. The expectation every single year is to get top three, and I can't wait till we get into top three so we can start dreaming about bigger things. Because even now, right? If you talk to a lot of fans, most people will say a top three will be a successful season. And I feel like the kind of form that we had, and when we were top of the table, winning the league should have been our new revised expectation and target. And I
Exactly.
don't think we'll build that mentality till we get that mental block out of the way. So if it's a choice between winning the FA Cup right now and finishing fourth, for example, I will definitely I'll just not even get into the final. I don't care about that. But top three is very, very important. I'm not even going to touch about how important it is for us to retain players and sign new contracts with players. That is something I think we probably can still do with new owners and everything. But I think it's just the mental block that I want to get over with, not just for the team, but also for the fans.
Exactly. And I think I remember that voice note that you sent me on WhatsApp about reevaluating, your targets. And that is actually right that, before we faced Chelsea, we were top of the table. And that one Chelsea game changed the narrative for us. So before that Chelsea game, we should have, we should have thought that top three isn't our target, winning the league is our
Yeah.
target. Uh, I think I'm a little conflicted right now because I honestly feel that today we get top three. Why do we want top three? So that we can get Champions League football, and so that the likes of Ona, Russo can stay. But tomorrow we get Champions League football. I don't want us to be like City, like they've struggled a lot to get into the group stages. I want us to get to the group stages. So it has to be sustainable. It doesn't have to be like, okay, we get top
But
three, we
you
get UWCL, and that's over.
but even if you win the league this year, you won't get into group stages right away. You will have to go
There's
through
this
qualifying.
coefficient thing, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And England I think is fourth in the
But
coefficient, so we won't
but
directly get
if
into.
if England teams like the WSL teams go into the latter stages, won't the coefficients increase?
I'm hoping it doesn't. So I think we have vested interest that it doesn't really go up. But
Yeah.
I think again I think maybe it's because we won the FA Cup under Louis van Gaal, and it did not mean anything. And we've spent then Jose came in, and we won the two trophies, but the underlying problems were still the same. And for me, again, it's I think at the end of the day, the end goal should be to win the league. Uh, if it's a 2-year plan, 3-year plan, if we get into a cup final, if we win the FA Cup, it's a bonus, and I would be more than happy. But if it comes at the cost of top three,
Yeah.
I don't think that's
Yeah, out of the two, you would choose top three, but
hundred
obviously,
percent.
as a fan, you'd want FA Cup glory as well.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not obviously that's something that you want, and getting into the Champions League group stages, it's also financially a very big boost, right? You get, I think, what, 300,000 euros for making it into the group stages itself. So if you make it there, you can get two more players, two more club record players in the summer, and so I think while the FA Cup is also very important, but we have already won a trophy, right? Even though it was the championship trophy. But I just think I'm really exhausted of wanting top three, and
Yeah,
I
I
want
think
our ceiling to be higher than that.
every season it's been like we've missed out by a few points, by a point, by 2 points, by goal difference,
Yeah,
for example, hypothetically speaking. But yeah, it's I don't like top three obviously, but in the summer, reevaluate your targets. Don't think okay, we'll get into the qualifying rounds, we'll see how it goes, and then we'll get into the like. For example, we finished third this season. Then the aim next season should be to be in a title race and not just like okay, you lose to Chelsea and the title race is over. Don't be like
I
that.
I'll say one thing. If you think Eric Ten Hag was the manager of women's team, would we even be thinking about, qualifiers? We will aim for the qualifiers and whatever. If Eric Ten Hag was the manager, we would be looking at we'd be looking at a double, right?
Quadruple.
We'd be looking at an FA Cup victory. He'd be like, that guy is like 22 points or something behind Arsenal, and he still thinks we are in the title race. So and it's all about mentality. It's the same club, but right now we're thinking that, oh, getting into top three is important, but what is the good of a top three if we get knocked out in the qualifiers? You don't need that mentality. The mentality should be that if we get into the Champions League, we mean to actually stay in the Champions League. And once you get into Champions League, let's say we get Champions League next season, you still need to get into top three. So just get that out of the way so that we can get started again. So I think like this, I honestly, like, I just feel like I usually did not like comparing the women's team with the men's team, uh, because the men's team were by far the worst team that we've had for the last 2, 3 seasons when compared to the women's team. I mean, in I know Ole was the manager and we had second and third, but it seemed like in terms of the stability of the team and performances. Uh, but I think right now,
The quality of the squad and everything. Yeah,
the quality of the squad, the
yeah,
consistency, like even if we're getting fourth, we're at least consistently getting fourth, right?
yeah.
So I think that right now, it's also because I was used to being very, very saddened by the men's team for 1 decade. And so I was okay with, you know, only wanting top three for the women's team. But I think the mentality of the club has changed quite a lot after Erik Ten Hag has come in. And I'm thinking if a team that was a proper train wreck last season, and even for a little while we dreamed about a quadruple, why can't we do the same thing for the women's team where we had a much more stable base for the last 3 years? And I just want that. And I think a lot of fans kind of temper down and they lower their standards when it comes to the women's team. I'm saying if you're a fan and if you're thinking for the men's team that yes, we will win the FA Cup, we will win the Europa League, but then you come to the women's team and you say, we should play safe, then it's the same thing that the club is doing, that they're lowering the standards for the women's team.
Exactly. And I think even right now, I'd say Chelsea loses both their remaining games that they have in their hand.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
game on. It's title
yeah,
race back on.
exactly. And
I
it's a like even if you put aside the title race, the level of competition right now is just amazing. Like I'm I obviously I'm scared as well, but I'm actually excited to see how we have to fight it out between City and Arsenal because both of them will be level on points with us. We have a goal difference advantage, and now I'm so happy because we've been talking about goal difference for the last few seasons, and this season after stat padding against the likes of, for example, today we stat padded 4 goals, the 6 goals against Liverpool. That makes a lot of difference. So for
Yeah,
example, if we had scored more goals against Leicester in the 1-0 win, we could have
the
we
first one. Yeah, yeah. 1-0. Yeah.
yeah 1-0. So yeah, I don't know what else to say, but what I would say is, I totally understand that it's easy for us fans to pass on judgment and expect things, but at the same time, like Namrata mentioned, as fans you want to be more ambitious, and it's not bad that you shamelessly say out there that United are in a title race, in the WSL title race, in the Premier League title race. I am so shameless that after we defeated Liverpool, I was like, We'll defeat Chelsea, we'll defeat Arsenal, we'll defeat City." 6-0, amazing team. But over a period of time, I understood that it wasn't just about we playing good; it was about Liverpool playing bad. So, but yeah, I am
I think
shameless. Yeah, I want us to win. Like
I think I'm
people,
I'm glad you're finally shameless. Like I think everyone should be very shameless in their expectations from the club. So,
yeah, like what people usually say, like not even United fans, but usually people say that United have never been in top three. So how can you expect them to straight away go from fourth position to winning the league? And I think I had a discussion with you about this regarding the Leicester City fairy
yeah,
tale winning the Premier League. Obviously, they didn't see it as a as a step by step process. One season they were like, okay, we are playing well, okay, we'll fight for the title. So that should have been the mentality this season. Maybe it would have been the mentality, but he never publicly said, like Mark, I don't think publicly ever said that we are in a title race. But then again, I don't listen to the press conferences a lot, so I don't know.
I think it's kind of fine that Mark doesn't say a lot of things in his press conferences because most of the times it doesn't come out well, right? But I think for me, the reason why I'm really hyped for this season is because 2 years ago we were in a similar situation where we were top of the league and we had an amazing squad. We were doing really well, and 2 years ago we were that opportunity to see how well we could do was taken away from us because that injury crisis that we had. We still don't know if those players hadn't got injured where we would have finished. We might have we might just have gone to top three 2 years ago and the whole story would have been different. So it's like for me this season is like a continuation of that season. I want us to see and get what we missed out on 2 years ago. We have a squad which is more or less, we don't have, like, we have injuries, but it's not like 2 years ago where our top five attackers were injured at the same time, and Tooney and Jackie had to play up front. So uh, I think we have the squad. I think there has to be uh, some sort of plan to have against different teams. But there's a real chance, and I think even though fans might think that that the title race is out of hand, I think as a team that should always be our goal. And we're not that far off Chelsea, right? They lose points here and there, and we are still back in the race.
They
So
face
it
City
might.
next, like tomorrow.
Exactly. I think if you go ahead with saying that top three is where we want to be, then if you miss, there's a very good chance you miss out on it. But if you say we
Exactly.
want to win the league, we want to win every single game that we play from now, you might actually just go on and win the league.
Exactly. I think if you aim for the stars, then only you'll reach the sky. I think there's some
Yeah,
saying regarding this,
yeah.
and I think not even like obviously Chelsea face City, they face Arsenal as well. I think, but they face Aston Villa as well, and I feel even if Villa can somehow manage to get a draw because they have stolen points away from teams like City, like Villa. So
Do you think we will win against Villa? Very genuine question. Right now, based on our performances in the last 2-3 games and their performances in the last 2-3 games, do you genuinely think we will beat Villa away from home?
see. Kirsty Hansen won't play against us, first of all. So that is +1 to us. I feel against Villa, we have that mentality. I think we've defeated them 5-0 in this season, or 4-0 or something like that this season.
I was at Old Trafford.
Oh, yeah. Was it
We
5-0 or
always
what?
play well. I don't
Oh, yeah.
remember, but we usually like
Let's shift the game to Old Trafford then. Like, is it a home game? I don't know.
it's an away game because we played them home at Old Trafford. So
Then
this
we'll
one,
play at Villa Park. Then we'll play at Villa Park because we are
mm,
usually good at men's stadium. But yes, I think on form, like if you say that our performances will be a reflection of our performance of our form, then I'd say a draw. But track record against Villa, even when they have been good, I feel we'll be able to defeat them. And right now I am in a mind state where I'm like, United will win all their remaining games and Chelsea will lose two of their games. Like, I'm
I
not
thought you
openly
were going
saying
to say
that
they
we'll win the league,
will lose all their
but
games.
Chelsea lose all their games. Okay, that's
That's what
wishful
I'm
thinking then. Even right now, I'm looking at the table and I'm like, okay, United is at top. But then I saw that Chelsea have played two less games. So,
I just think that any match that we lose from now till end of the season is going to be because of us and not because of the opposition.
exactly.
It could be Villa, it could be Arsenal, Man City. I really think it's in our hands, and if we mess up, it's because
It's
we got
like
something wrong.
more than the Arsenal game, I'm a little worried about the City game because we've
I'm worried
had
about both
chance,
the games. I'm
we've
even
had
worried
chances.
about the Villa game, man.
You should be worried about the Spurs game as well then because Beth
No,
England is
no,
going
no.
on
We're not that
tours.
bad.
They are not that bad, or we are not that bad.
We're not that bad.
Okay, okay.
Our
I
spinner
heard
is
they are
better
not
than
that
their
bad.
spinner.
That's correct. And we've also got Liverpool. Yes, I think Liverpool is the last game. Yeah.
It's
So
win the
hopefully, like,
win the league, win the league before that game.
yeah,
Liverpool give us guard of honor, or is it a home game or is it away
card of
game?
no, it's an away game for us.
I even really know played at Anfield.
And like this has been an hour long because I was talking to Vicky and I was like, I'll not do a 25-minute one. I'm doing it alone. I'll do it a 10-minute one, a match reaction. I'll be like, this happened. That's it. This has been a hour long and I've enjoyed it thoroughly. And
Yeah,
we'll recreate this on 27th May when we'll be crying seeing United will lift the title. And on
Yeah.
28th May, we'll again cry seeing United men's team lift the title. So I'm that shameless.
And then the
Uh,
FA Cup as well.
okay, ज़्यादा हो गया थोड़ा.
And then the Europa League.
बस ये when we come back to this video ना, then we'll be like, क्या सोच रहे थे हम लोग? Uh, do you have like a player of the match from this game?
Ona. 100%. Like, I don't even have to think twice. I think, like, obviously she only got one assist in a game which is 4-0. But I mean, throughout the match, she was very, very consistent. And I think no, actually, Lucia would be the player of
I
the
was like,
match.
why isn't she saying Lucia?
I think again the reason is because we expect Ona to put in 8.5 out
Yeah.
of 10 every match, but like Lucia had that major impact. So I think we have to give it to Lucia.
Okay. So two changes. Like, how many changes would you make for the Brighton game, which is on 1st April?
I think definitely Lucia has to start on the right wing. Uh,
Okay.
uh, I know what I want, but I know it will not happen.
What
But
you want? Okay. Let's not talk about what will
I think
happen.
I would want Lad, Wildeboisa, and Tooney to start off with. If Tooney is not in form, then although I think she was playing really well in the second half, so she should definitely start the next game as well. Uh, I wouldn't mind seeing Cascarino in if it's not VBR, put Cascarino there, like Lad, Cascarino, Toon. I honestly think that based on that first half performance, I don't think any manager in WSL would pick the same midfield again. So uh,
It's quite disjointed.
it's very disjointed, and I'm not saying all of them are really bad, but
As a
it's
group, it's not working.
as a group. No, it's I mean individually also sometimes it doesn't work. But what I mean is that
We
it's
won't
when it doesn't
speculate.
work. When it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And the few times that it does work, you need to rely on a lot of people individually to kind of bail you out. And I don't think we have a solution. So I wouldn't even mind if we start off the same way. But I think we face Brighton next time,
1st April.
and
Yeah.
we face them in FA Cup and we face them in the league as well. Is that correct? Like I think we have
Uh,
Brighton back to back.
Yeah, we have Brighton back to back, but I thought first April game is like
Yeah,
we'll face them in the league first, then the
yeah.
international break, and then we'll face them in the FA Cup semi-final on 16th April.
Yeah. So I just think that if you're going to be playing them in the FA Cup final, FA Cup semi-final as well, just try different things. And Brighton haven't been good. Arsenal scored like 4 goals against them when they played. So we should be looking at something as well. Start off well, try to get a couple of goals, and just have other options. That's all I'm going to say. Bring on people as subs, but at least try to get other options.
One last question:
Yeah.
which game would you aim like? Would you aim for Jade Rivier's minutes? Like, I'm not going to say she'll start, but the minutes that she'll get. First game.
I don't remember which games are left now.
I'll say
So
Brighton in April, then Brighton again in the FA Cup semi-final April. Then we face Arsenal in April, then Villa on 29th April, then Tottenham, City, and Liverpool.
I think if she is fit enough, uh, I'll give her some minutes, maybe like 10 minutes against Brighton and in the
Okay,
league
okay.
or the FA Cup, depending on whichever one is closer to her fitness goals. Uh, Villa, I wouldn't. Uh, Arsenal, again, I don't think she has enough playing time. But I think those two games are very important. I wouldn't mind like starting her against Spurs. Uh, and then kind of back to because I think both of our fullbacks are playing really well. So I think for us, what's important is even if we don't start her, we need to keep giving her like 10 minutes here and there. And I kind of feel that that is something that we missed out on Lisa Nalson, where because she didn't have a preseason, and we didn't play her for about 3 months, but when we started her, we started off straight away. Uh, when we might have probably looked at giving her 10 minutes here and there, and then kind of starting her
I
in
think
FA Cup
the
and
way
CY.
he, integrated Jackie when she got injured, when she came back from injury last season,
Yes. Yeah,
we should have taken that path. Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, and yeah, that's it. I think that's all the questions are there. uh, so thanks a lot, Namrata, for bearing with me for 1 hour, 10 minutes, 10 seconds, 11 seconds, 12 seconds. It's been fun, really really fun because we haven't talked in a while, like properly on a
Yeah,
podcast. And
yeah.
guys, we'll be doing a full Hindi one, so make sure to learn e e a and whatever it is, k k g g na. The Varnamala basically. We'll help you out with the subtitles and everything. But yeah, we'll be doing a full Hindi one as well in the coming months, or I don't know. Like we've just started talking about it. So Namrata is making a face. Why?
No, no, I'm just,
That's
I
I
actually,
thought she's like, nahi, nahi, nahi karna. Yeah, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Follow Namrata on Twitter at the rate Namrata underscore YDV. Follow Only One United on Twitter as well. We do a little different, unique stuff on Twitter from YouTube. Subscribe to our channel if you already haven't. Like this video, share this video, and if you have missed this video, like you've missed some parts, make sure to because tomorrow Sunday, guys, you don't have any excuses. We don't have any men's game tomorrow. Wake up, start the podcast and listen to it again. Help us with the views. uh, and yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining us in the comments. Sorry we haven't really looked at the comments properly, but we appreciate you talking to us through chats. We did read it, but we didn't talk about it, so sorry. Yeah, that's it, guys. Make sure to subscribe, take care, stay safe, and start manifesting that Chelsea drop points.